Hi everyone, my name is Shalini, and in this particular session, we are going to learn more about how to write well. Are you scared of writing? Has it ever happened that you were utterly confused as to how to write the subject line? Has it ever happened that you were confused about which is the right salutation to address? Has it ever happened that you wanted to convey something was conveyed? Has it ever happened that you completely lost your scale of vocabulary? Has it ever happened that the outcome of that particular email was not derived? If yes, please don't be here in this particular session. I'm going to each and every aspect of mail writing. Before I start doing and discussing about how to draft formal mails, let's understand that emails in this current situation have become a lifeline for any organization to survive. If you want to communicate with the clients sitting far away in a different country altogether, which is the easiest and the fastest and as well as the economic way of reaching out to your client? No, not the telephone calls. Understand the rates have come down, but then even now, email is the most fastest and economic way of connecting with anybody across. So with time, we've seen a significant change in the way and the use of and purpose of writing. Now, before I deep dive into decoding all the important elements during the different situations, let's understand how to draft a. Now imagine the layout of a page. What do you see first? Yes, you all have guessed by now. Yes, it's two, the two tab that you see. Now, usually what you do is you plug ID with respect to whoever is the receiver, right? So the sender ideally implants an email ID of the receiver, and that person marked in the two column. Now, after two, second one is CC. Now, CC stands for carbon copy. Now, why carbon copy? What is the purpose of carbon copy? Well, again, in the carbon copy, as sender of an email, we write down the email IDs of the. It could be a singular ID, or it could be a multiple. So why in fact the CC? If you could just plug all the IDs into what is the use of CC? What is the significance of this high carbon copy? So let's understand. There is a fundamental difference between two. Now for two is the person who is responsible towards the actionable and completion of the task. Hence, it's two. While CC, we mark the IDs for the people who just need to be kept informed, which means they're part of the entire or to be in the loop. But significantly, they do not or need not take any action right away, which is why it's very important to understand who is my receiver and who are the people who I need to keep informed. Now, before I go further, let me give out an example. Let's say you want to write an email requesting for leave. In that case, who is supposed to sanction? Very important to put that. Otherwise, no leave is granted. So yes, in order to avail leave, very important to understand who is your reporting manager or your immediate supervisor who has got the authority to approve the leave. Now that person is marked in the two column. While people who need to be kept informed about your absence, they need to be marked in CC. Now, after the CC column, the next thing that we see is very interesting, and that is the BCC column. So what is BCC column? BCC stands for blind carbon copy. As a sender, if you put across an ID, the BCC column, well, of course, the mail will reach out to that ID, but then that person's ID will not be visible to means the receiver is completely unknown to people who are marked in, which is why what I would request as well as suggest is please do not use the BCC column at all, since you can end up being into a lot of trouble as the idea put implanted there is not visible. Hence, please be mindful of who is my receiver, who need to be kept informed, what is it that I need. After the BC column, the next thing that you see the subject line. Very interesting. Very interesting. Because most of the times, probably it's easier to draft a mail, but it's very difficult to draft a subject. Because in a very precise manner, you need to cover all the important things. So what should be there in the subject line? Well, subject line is the first glimpse for the receiver to understand what does the mailing entail. Which means, as a receiver, when I go through the subject line, I can just scan and understand what is the mail about. It gives me a gist of the entire mail. Now, whenever you're writing the subject line, the most preferable way is please start with a verb oriented word, which means, let's say if you're writing a mail to share an update, please start with update on YZ project or update or status update on ABC report. Let's say you want to write a subject line requesting for leave. In that case, please don't write leave application. I want to go home. Please leave me. No, don't do that. Ideally, should be request for leave from so and so, so and so. Now, with this particular statement, it would be very easy for the reader to comprehend what is the mail all about, and which is why it becomes reader friendly. Now, whenever you're writing the subject line, please ensure you do not cross more than 8 to 10 words. Your subject line should be precise, crisp, and now after the subject line, next thing is salutation. Now it's a very, very tricky thing to deal with. The reason is cultural orientation plays a very important. Now let's see. If you're writing this mail to any American or maybe European citizen or client, in that case, they prefer to be addressed by the first name. So it should be hello followed by the first name. However, there are various organizations who prefer to be addressed as sir or madam. In that case, you should be thoroughly aware of what is the orient of this organization. So in case, let's say you're writing somebody who is way senior to you, in that case, you could write it as hello, sir, or hello, madam. Now, I would suggest please avoid dear, since they are more ambition. So now, into corporate or when you're already working, very important that dear and respected should be left out. From henceforth, it has to be followed by either the first name or sir or madam. Now, after the salutation, here comes the body part. Now, body of the it's very important, critical to consider various aspects before you start drafting the body of the mail. So always begin your mail. Let's say if you're writing to after a long time, please start with hope this weekend, or good evening, or good afternoon, or good morning, greetings of the day. Always start with a point to connect with. It should be backed up by a proper exclamation. Now, whenever you start the mail, always suggest please use the standard opening statement. This is to request you, this is to inform you, this is to update you, this is to bring to your kind attention, this is to apologize. So, this is how you should begin the body of the mail. Proper and appropriate opening statement. Now, your body of the mail should always be, which means no drafting, no typing in all caps, since it's yelling in nature. If you want to catch the attention of your reader, you can feel free to highlight one particular word or underline the same. Always keep it left in. Do not draft a mail with various colors, since it can completely dilute the. So please ensure that whenever you're drafting the body of the mail, it should sound assertive, neutral, and precise, as well as coherent in a, which means do not give out too much of emotions. I'm extremely disappointed. I'm overtly excited. I'm deeply hurt. Please avoid. Whenever you're drafting, please sound as much as possible neutral, as well as express yourself, but in an assertive manner. Always write to the point, considering that it is cannibal. Do not unnecessary, lengthy, right? Keep it absolute, as well as use the important paragraphs. So do not draft everything in one single paragraph because it's going to look way clumsy. So please draft it in different paragraphs, neatly aligned. Okay? As well as the mail should be coherent, which means there should be a proper chain of thoughts which should be put across. Shouldn't be tumbling from one to the other point. So please arrange your thoughts and write them down accordingly. Now, after the body of the mail comes very significant important state, which is the closing state. What is the closing state? Whenever there's a disparity between what is expected, what is done, it is because the information has not been complete, which is why there's a disparity in terms of your expectation as a sender. So whatever you expect, please feel free, write it out in the closing statement. So just like the opening statement, you should always have an appropriate closing statement. So let's say a closing statement. So please feel free to connect with me in order to discuss on the given report by 7 p.m. Looking forward to hearing from you. Or this is to this is uh, this is to request you to please share an approval for the leave requested by so and so date. Looking forward for your kind cooperation or consider. So please ensure that you draft the subject line. Okay? Now after the closing statement, there's supposed to be signature. So whenever you're drafting your signature, it should always be thank you, regards, your full name, your contact details, your connecting number, and your company's logo. As well as if you want, you can add your designation in case if you're already working, which is going to get us to the brand image of yourself. So please ensure you keep your signature pre-drafted so that you would fix it with all other. Now, Attachments play a very important role. There could be a report, there could be something that you may. Please check for your attachment. In case if your attachment is whether renamed appropriately, whether you have already attached it, which means a double check before you actually put out the mail. So these are few important which I would suggest that you should always. Now let's begin with some practice session. Whenever I'll be sharing my important all throughout, the entire video. But with that, let's move on to practicing. What I would suggest is, as you watch the video, once I'm done with the situation, you could just pause the video for a minute or two. Try writing down, and then you could just continue playing this video and see whether your scale of writing is almost as similar to the way I have shown in this video. In that case, you'll be able to constantly improve in your style of writing. Okay? So let's see. Here is the first situation. You are an assistant salesman at a SaaS firm that provides internal office management system for individuals, universities, and academic groups as well. The system is a bundle of features of two pieces of software: attendance management and fees management. Write an email to the college principal or dean introducing a new library management system developed by your company. Pitch them to purchase this new product and convince them to update their existing software bundle. Quite an interesting situation. So here you have an existing, right? Who's that client? It is supposed to be college principal or the dean, which means technically the person is going way senior by experience as well as by approach. So my suggestion would be to write hello sir or hello, which is how you should know to communicate with them. Now, very interesting point here is pitch them to purchase the new product, convince them to update the existing software bundle, which means this particular client is already an existing client and is using kind of service. Now here you have come up with a different whole and new different idea altogether. So this is the time to pitch something new that you have developed as well as to see whether you can convince the person for that come back in order to update the software. Yes, as I've already discussed with you, points to consider. Here is a mail, sample mail, okay, for you to understand how you can proceed to write this mail. If you have a closer look, the subject line says proposal for the new library management software system. So that is the new software which my organization, and I'm here to pitch for it. The proposal for the new LMSS. Now there's a reason why I've given an acronym here, so that every time you need not write the entire thing, all together repeating itself. So because from here you could use the acronym every now and then in order to make it more communicative. So that is how I've drafted the subject line. Now, started with hello. Here I've written Mr. or Miss along with the surname, considering I'm even experienced. But let's say for you all who are just about to probably start their career, or freshers, there are people who have just started working, and probably there's huge gap difference. In that case, I would say, hello, sir, dash madam. Hello, madam, sir. Followed by that is greetings of the day. I've started with a, absolutely great openings. As it says, this mail is to introduce to our new library management software system, this LMS, which has been developed keeping in mind the requirements of our esteemed clients like you. But this particular line is very interesting because it raises the confidence of uh, you know my receiver, as well as I tend to respect to my audience, to my receiver. So which means I've already created a niche market for my client. And by reading this, he or she is always going to feel more privileged that he or she has been considered before making this particular software. Now, following are the features and benefits of the software. So before we discuss about benefits, it's very important to make the receiver familiar with the features that this particular system offers. So I've just listed out a few, and which are basically the key important part of this particular software system to make it more relatable. With that, once I'm done with the features, I have moved on to discussing benefits, which is what is the benefit that you're going to, in case if you enroll for this particular software system. So after the benefits, which is very, very important, you need to be very, very mindful that these would be your benefits. It should cover the points of their benefit. It's very important that whenever you're sharing the benefits, you consider the receiver benefits and not your benefit. After I've written down the benefits, I continue. We are seeing a great result with LMS software for our existing clients. Hence, we would recommend, it's always recommendable. Never ever say, I would want you to, or I instruct you. Recommend. So, we would like to recommend you to use this as well as update the existing software system, which combined comes with the irresistible offer. Of course, who doesn't like offers, right? So here is an offer which is absolutely irresistible, which means buy this product and along with that, you just upgrade your other softwares, giving you more of an option of, you know, doing or getting a better deal. So which of course is a great idea. Now, request you to look, request you to book your free trial by so and so date in order to avail early discounts. Looking forward to hearing from you. So now I have even shared the tentative deadline so that this person is aware that in order to get both the things going on together, this is the right time to act. With this, need to now drafting a signature, which should be thank you, regards, your name, your designation, your contact details. In case you have a LinkedIn ID, you could put up that one. And with that, the company's website, so that that person can easily, go out, do a Google search and find more about this particular organization. So this is how I would recommend to start writing your mails. With this, let's move on to the next